Hi, Perry here. Hope you're having an amazing, kick-ass summer. Dr. Brill and I are just having lots of fun in Kansas City this summer months. I have a few updates for you here. Dr. Brill and I will be at Vision Expo West in September on the 18th, and we are giving a talk with Vision Monday called Smart Solutions at the Speed of Sight. And it's really going to go over retail insights from customer engagement innovators, which we're proud to be nominated by Vision Monday magazine. And really what we're going to do is just go through how we think about innovation within the practice every single day. We live it and breathe it, and kind of bring you in our journey, how we've done well. Also, we'll be talking about how we launch our podcast, why we do this, how we create videos and audio, and how you can do that all as well. I hope some of you will be at this Vision Monday speech. I would love to shake hands, meet with everybody in person, and just say hi. Be very cool to talk to our listeners. This week's episode is a dear woman to my heart. Her name is Alexandra Peng, and she owns TC Charton Asian Fit Eyewear, and she is the innovator and global alternative fitting eyewear for Asians, for African Americans, or anyone with ethnic facial features that need better, proper fitting eyewear. Whether you have flat bridges, whether you have big heads, or other facial features, she is going to teach us how to master the craft and the art of fitting. She's a phenomenal woman. She speaks 7 languages, and she really understands the market better than anyone when it comes to eyewear fit. So if you're a doctor or an optician, this is the episode for you to bring your fit to next level. We underestimate how important proper fitting eyewear is in your optical. You will make a legacy in your town if you can always have great fitting eyewear. Patients remember that. So enjoy the episode. Have a kick-ass summer. FYI, this podcast was originally recorded as a video podcast. That means you can actually watch Alexandra Peng, Dr. Brill, and myself will be discussing the fit of eyewear. We have models in the video that are actually trying it on, and you can see for yourself how eyewear should fit. It's a really cool experience doing this video interview. So you can check that out on our YouTube page or our Facebook page. Go check it out for a more visual experience. Also want to let you know, if you need inspiration, I know we get down in the summer, we have tons and tons of video on our Facebook page, Eyetrepreneur, where we just talk about random stuff that you may not be thinking about, like phone etiquette, like music in your office, like inventorying contact lenses. So go check out those videos and enjoy the podcast with Alexandra Peng.
So therefore, there's no reason that one should put up with ill-fitting glasses, because it is also a medical device. So one must take pride in that and then understand the seriousness of it, and the consequence that could come with it when one is wearing an ill-fitting glasses.
Welcome to Eyetrepreneur, the podcast for Wizards of Eyes. I'm Dr. Raymond Brill with my co-host,
Perry Brill, and we're here to bring you stories about Wizards of Eyes. Yes, what is a wizard, Dr. Brill?
Well, these are folks that you may have heard about, may not have heard about. These are people who are actually very successful in doing what they do in all aspects of eye care.
We're not talking to self-proclaimed industry geniuses, experts, masters, or gurus, because we're talking to wizards of eyes that make it happen each and every day.
They are out there working every day in the labs, on the road, in the practices, in surgery suites, making lenses, making frames.
Yes, we want to hear these back-of-the-house stories about innovation, entrepreneurship, and make you feel excited to do what you do.
We want you to be energized about the whole eye care field. And this is not your big optical program. This is done out of the passion of our hearts.
Please go ahead and subscribe to Eyetrepreneur, the podcast for Wizards of Eyes on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, or your favorite app. Also, visit eyetrepreneur.com, where you'll find our latest blogs and special video content. That's www.eyetrepreneur.com. PRENEUR.com.
Hello and welcome to another special video segment, and today we're going to be discussing eyewear, specifically how to choose eyewear and choose one that actually fits properly. And we have the pleasure of speaking to Alexandra Peng of TC Charton. How are you doing?
Great. Hi, Perry. Hi, Dr. Brill.
Hi.
Hello. And
Brady.
hi, Brady. How are you doing?
Good, how are you? Yeah.
Wonderful. So, so tell us, Alexandra, a little bit about how you got into eyewear, and let's get into the basics of everything.
Perry, if we're going to talk about how I got into the eyewear, that is going to be a much longer story than
How about 30 seconds?
I would. Yes. Well, I first got in the industry because I was first hired to go to Miro to be an interpreter due to my language skill. And then after sitting through so many production meetings with the designer, manufacturers, and marketing teams, every Miro show and then Silmo in Paris, while I was still going to school. So by the time, 2 years later, by the time I graduated from college, it was already a very easy transition for me to get into the industry, or because I already learned all the in and outs, and I realized that I actually love the whole creation and designing part of the collection. So that's how I got started at. So yes, I am actually quite new in American optical industry. But since I've been living in this country for the last 27 years, by the time I decided that I want to create my own collection, I wanted to do something special for my fellow Asian Americans. And then that's how I started TC Charton almost 10 years ago.
And you speak, what, 7 languages?
Yes. Yes.
That helps, especially
I'm speaking optical today.
yeah, universal language. So that definitely helps when you're dealing with the Italians.
Exactly. I used to be able to fight in Italian with the Italian factories and the branded. So yes, it's kind of rusty now, that since I don't get to go there as often as I used to. I used to go to Italy, the Belluno, Cadore, that area, maybe like at least 4 or 5 times a year.
Nice.
So yeah, so luckily I don't have to do that anymore. Stay put, America. Focus.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks for the background. So let's jump right into the fitting of eyewear, and we'll let you talk about that here.
Perfect. I think that there are some very, very basic that we first need to talk about in order for us to be able to talk about what's a good fit. Because there are certainly a lot of myths out there now that I get to hear more from the opticians. The number one thing is that is the PD. Okay, one of the things that we hear the most often is when they say, "Oh, I have a very large patient who needs at least a size 60 or 62 and up." Okay, so to me, this is what we would like to talk about. This is myth number one. Okay, a large person or with a large head does not necessarily mean that you need to go by a very large eye size. Okay, so taking it for example, we are talking about, this is a large frame. Okay, this is a large frame, and then this is actually one of the very first prototype that I came up for Barry Santini's patients, Mayumi.
Right.
Okay.
Can you bring it a little closer so we can see it?
Sure.
Okay.
This is the frame. Okay. So anybody who look at Mayumi the first time, you automatically assume that she will need at least 64 eyes because of how wide she is.
Right.
The truth is, for someone who is wide from here to here, from the temple to temple, does not equate that she has a huge PD.
Right.
So when you put automatically assume and you go by what's printed inside of the temple, you cannot get the fitting right. Opticians should know better. That is a common mistake that a consumer could make, but not opticians. At least shouldn't. Okay. First of all, we must know the PD of the patient. How wide are the eyes? Second of all, we must know the PD of the frame.
Right.
Where the two match or sort of match, right? Then we should go from there. This is the number one. So it's never about the size. I cannot emphasize enough that how often we see patients, they walk out of the store just because they are white here, and then they end up with a ginormous frame. So what happened is that I am pretty white here, okay? But so a frame like this, I feel fine. But please look at me. My eyes are this close.
Yeah.
I have all this empty space. So this is what I like to say, that it makes me look as if I have crossed eyes.
Yeah, could you move can you move a little closer so we can see that? So the frame fits comfortably on the side of your head, but obviously your eyes are sitting very nasal.
Exactly. So this is the mistake number one. I think that this is the first thing I would like to point out. Look at the PD of the patient. That's what opticians do, right? And then look and then measure actually the frame that you pick or you want to take. Have the rough idea and then even bother to measure the PD of the frame. Because because there are so many other components. There are so many other aspects to make a good fit. And I think PD is the number one. So I think that while we're talking about this is the first thing an optician should be looking at. I believe this is also considered the number one myth. A large person needs a large eye size frame.
Right.
Totally wrong, okay?
Well, that's one of the main principles of optics, is that you should try for a frame PD to equal the patient's PD.
Precisely.
You'll have the optical centers at the major reference point in the center of the lens.
Exactly.
Notwithstanding style considerations where people, like a frame that is draggy down and, super large. So.
Mm-hmm. So we talk about the A dimension, right? The A measurement right now. Okay. So the next thing, the second thing that we should be looking at is the bridge side. And the bridge side, again, it could be just as misleading as the eye size. And then it gets a little more technical, and then I understand that maybe not every optician know that, because I want to give you an example, okay? This is the frame that fits me well. I have a very narrow bridge, okay? So after we look at the patient's IPD, then we look at the bridge. I have a very, very narrow bridge here versus, let's say, Brady's bridge, okay? So in order for me to pick up a frame and then that will fit me perfectly without, I could be shaking and then it would never slide down, is actually 14. I need a 14 bridge.
Wow. So we always assume that just because you have, certain ethnic facial features that you need a really wide bridge.
Oh, that of course not, because that's why I said, if you today, as an optician, some of you pride yourself to be a frame stylist. Okay, let me tell you, I don't know much about frame styling, other than I never call myself that, because this is what I do. But the first thing is I have to look and stare and then really look at all angles of the face of that particular customer or the patient, okay? So after we see the eyes, we look at the eyes, we look at the bridge. The person, whether the person has a wide bridge, medium or small bridge, okay? And then I also see how high is the bridge, whether it's high, medium, or low, or they come in all sizes, okay?
Okay.
This is the frame I'm about to put on. This is a 14 bridge, okay? So, and it sits perfectly on me, okay? Let's not talk about nose pattern, nothing else.
Right.
But because this is the true, this is the right size of the bridge that I need for my narrow bridge. So if I look at, but I cannot go and then automatically assume that every frame that I'm going to wear from now on needs to be a 14 or 15 bridge. That is impossible. I'm going to show you another frame that also sits really nicely on my face. My eyes are still nice and center, okay?
Right.
Still sits on me.
Can you move a little closer so we can see the fit? Okay, yeah.
Yes, okay.
Looks great.
But this is a frame with 21 bridge.
Wow.
And then the reason why I say, and then I think that this is something that is relevant right now because round is in fashion. Every brand you will find round frames, okay? And then this gets a little bit more technical. And then the reason why I wanted to point it out, just to make it simpler, is that a round frame usually on paper, on number, needs a much larger size. Does it make sense? So it's more likely for you to see a round frame with 22 bridge, bridge size, or 21 or 23 even, okay? Which is totally different than a frame of another shape. So again, rule number 2, ignore the printing, ignore the bridge size.
You're telling us to ignore everything.
Because I want you to look at the face in front of you. Okay. Because that is the true telling. That face that the patient that is standing right in front of you is what counts. And then as a good optician, you should know all 2,500 pieces, styles in your dispensary, right, Perry? And then you will gotta be able to know which frame that will look great on this patient. I think that is the key point. So yes, go by the number is very, very misleading. And then that's what I hope that I was able to demonstrate that, right?
So the patient can't assume they have a size.
That is wrong.
It could be 14 or it could be.
Exactly, that is wrong. It all depends on the design elements because there are so many criteria that go into that are behind those numbers.
What's worse is when the patient asks for their RX to go and they say, and make sure my PD is on there so I'll know what size frame to get. And I think while I don't mind sharing the PD, it's actually part of my prescription. I want to make sure that they know that has nothing to do with the frame selection.
Right.
Very little to do with the frame selection. And that if they make a mistake in frame selection, it's not because of their PD. So there's other factors. But I think a lot of people are consumers are just used to frames not fitting. They're tolerant of an ill-fit frame. And they don't know that it can be better. And that is, how do you suggest we educate the patient on self-frame selection without looking self-serving, say, look, we could do a much better job for you than when you're picking it out online for $7.99.
Correct.
Is there a way for us to communicate that better to patients?
Well, first of all, believe it or not, we also get this kind of question a lot. People will go to our website and then look at certain frame and they fall in love with certain styles, and then they will email us and they will call us. So do you think this is the B measurement, or is it deep enough for my progressive? Do you think this one will fit me? And then that's why I offer this service that is called virtual fitting to anybody who ever writes to us. And then one of the things that I need is that, well, all I need is 2 pictures from you, one the front and one profile picture, and then tell me how tall you are, so I can have a sense of, the proportion, right? But one of the things that we, Brady and then my other marketing customer service girls, that we always have to emphasize to those consumers that write to us is that do not get too caught up on the frame size. The one that you're wearing is the 58. It does not mean that you forever need that. Many times I was able to fit them in something much smaller. And then knowing that because of their high prescription and things like that, we all know that. One of the things that I often see and hear from all those optical online forums that are discussion is that you gotta fit them in small eye size. Great, not all the time the patients are willing to do that. Or they said, okay, you gotta fit them in a 42 eye size, but with a 23 bridge, and then with extended end pieces. This is we call it the end piece, right? In order to give the width that I need. Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, when it comes to Asian fit, for Asian person like myself with such a narrow bridge, a regular 23 bridge is out of question. It won't work. It would never work. So what would try to compensate is through the end piece. And then just like this frame that I was showing you that I fitted the Mayumi, is that there are so many other things that, how do we give them the extra width here, from the end piece or from the bolted temple and everything like that. So there are so many other ways that we can make that happen. But when it comes to the bridge side, and then I guess the logical next point that we're going to talk about will be the temple length. Same thing. Okay. Do not assume that this person is very long and then you say, okay, I need 150 and up. And I say it's not. And then after explaining this point to many opticians, I finally realized that a lot of people don't realize that the length of the temple is not for you to measure from here to here. It's not. How do you measure the temple length is, whether every temple has a hinge, right?
Right.
So you actually measure from the center of the screw that holds the hinge, from the center point to the tip.
Interesting. Okay.
That's where you start. Okay. And I guess that then, and I realized, because since I had the manufacturing background, I always assumed that everybody knew it, but I guess it's not as clear, as obvious to most people. Like, for example, taking this frame that I just showed you, okay? This is a frame that I did for someone with higher prescription, okay? Right. So for someone who needs usually a 55 or 56 eye size and a 15 bridge, I make this frame that could work for me if today I were -8 or 9, by extending the end piece. But it's not only that, I bend it, the end piece extended all the way up here. Do you see it?
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
So the easier way for you to compare is like this frame. Like, you basically, where you ends the end piece, and then immediately that's where the joint, that's where the hinge starts, right? But for a frame that needs to be able to accommodate thicker lenses, and then when you close the temple, you still have ample room to accommodate the thickness of the lenses, Right. I bend them, and then therefore I make the temple, the hinge, start much way back.
Now,
So
the levers
therefore,
on the frame, the mark.
it's 130.
Okay,
So
so
it's shorter. So it's shorter now. Because why? Because we have almost 8 millimeter here on this area.
Yeah.
But
So-
we're not counting that. We're counting from this midpoint in the center of the screw to the tip. So therefore, this frame is only 130 temple in printing.
right.
Does it make sense?
But it really is a 130.
But it's actually 138 or 140.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. So like I have another frame that we can fit a fairly large. This is actually too big for me. And it's same thing. It's on printing, it's a 145. And so when the optician called, I said, I have a patient who needs a temple 150. And I say, okay, then I would suggest them, well, maybe this one will fit because I will have to explain to them. And then sure enough, some of them don't want to believe us. But those that did, they say, oh, you're right, because this actually fits. So I am here I'm here to tell basically just sing the gospel of don't believe anything that you see on that is printed inside of the temple. Okay.
Yeah. So Alexandra, so I'm very happy you broke down the myths for us, and I think that's really important, especially as a new optician or veteran optician. Sometimes you have to go back to your roots and realize that frame design has theory to it. And if you follow the theory, you'll have a perfect fit every time. Could you get into some of the theory about fitting certain ethnicities? Because I find that it can become a struggle, not just in my practice here, but all around the country. We all have the same problems, and so how can we alleviate fit issues with certain ethnicities?
Well, I think fitting an Asian patient or an African American patient, it shouldn't be harder than fitting, let's say, someone with extra high bridge. When it's a fitting challenge, it's a fitting challenge. So the most important thing is that you gotta have the right frame in your practice, in your dispensary for different kind of situation. Okay.
You have to be prepared for it.
Exactly, because you cannot say, okay, as long as I learn how to fit this person, then I should be able to tackle it. No, you won't be able to unless you actually have the right tool, right? You have to have the right frame for it. This is number one, okay? Again, we go back to the basic. We study the faces. We see what this patient needs, okay? Is this something that she has extra high cheekbone, okay? Is her bridge extra low, okay? Is her temples extra wide, or she has an extremely small PD? All those are the same thing. All those are the challenges that every single one of us face whenever we, a patient walks out of the exam room and we're trying to find them the right frame. Okay.
But one of the hardest one is the low ears. Patients with low ears. They generally do not have frames that fit.
Exactly. So with the low ear, but there was one thing that we, from design point of view, instead of saying, maybe frame designer should make a frame that look like it's been upside down. No. Okay. Because nobody needs to wear anything that make them look odd. First of all. Okay. To me, aesthetic is extremely important, right? So we're talking about, this is not only a medical device, but it's also a very important accessory because this is something that we wear on our face. But there's one thing that we can do though, is that whenever you have a patient with low ear, you trying to find a frame that the bridge is much lower. Okay, and when it's the lower, you will, when after the opticians they adjusted the temples, you will have achieved a more harmonious look. It will look less odd. Does it make sense?
Right.
So that's one of the things that definitely within the reach, if you have the right product in hand. So obviously no Asian patient, not every Asian patient have the exactly same issues that I have. For example, like we mentioned earlier, that I have a very low bridge, and then it's not only very, very low, it's very, very narrow. And then, yeah, Dr. Brill, one of my ear is much lower than the other one.
Oh, no.
Okay? so I cover them. But anyway, but none of us is ever, perfectly symmetrical, right? So, but at least I know that what kind of frame I should be looking for. For example, if you look at my face, you would notice that, and then Brady, could you get closer to me? Okay. Bridge difference aside, look at the position of our brow and our eyes, okay? Can you tell that from the front, that Brady's brow and eyes appear to have a much smaller distance than compared to my brow and my eye?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And then that is the easiest way to answer, to explain that is because Brady has very deep set eyes. You see, her eyes are deep set.
Right.
While mine much flatter here. Okay, I am much flatter here. Okay, so we don't only look at the front, we gotta look at the side. So that will change immediately, what kind of frame you put on. And then when for Brady, that breaks some a frame that looks good on me, you would for sure sits too straight or sits wrong on her. You see?
Yeah,
You see that? Can
you scoot in a little, Brady, please? Okay. Yes.
Can you see that?
It fits right.
Right. And then, for example, because of the distance between, I need you to look at the camera straight, please. Because of this short distance between the brow and the eye, Brady will certainly look much nicer with a frame that the top part is flatter, is straight. Please put it on. You see? Versus, give me the same frame, if I put it on, doesn't it look that is cut through the middle of my lids? That I still have all this space here? Do you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, lots of space.
Lots of space, okay? Then again, this is not because,
you need more arch.
Yes, I need more arch. I definitely do need more arch.
So tell us kind of about the next type of challenging fit here and how we can really nail it and impress our patients.
Hello, Talisha.
Hello. That's Dr. Brill and that's Perry.
Hi.
So I think that the next of the challenge fit that we often hear, and especially nowadays with the trend being that people want round, people want large, okay? They want something so large that a lot of times they simply, in my opinion, their face look like they've been overwhelmed by such a large frame, but that's what they want to go for, right? So supposedly today, Talisha, after I studied her features, I said, oh, okay, she has such a nice oval shaped face, and look at the bridge. I say, okay, so this is the bridge that might fit her, but this frame is simply too big on her, right? You see all this space.
Okay, could you lean in a little for us so we can kind of get a nice view? Okay.
Yes, you see that?
It's a little high too.
Can you lean closer? Okay. So every time when I see a patient that wants this kind of product, that's something that is oversized,
Right.
first of all, I won't tell them, oh, you know what? I can make some adjustments to make it work. We often hear that from our patients, okay? They think that, you know, with their frame warmer, they do some twisting and then adjustment, the frame should stay put. Unfortunately, the frame like this, it should never stay. We should never let somebody like Talisha with this frame walk out of your practice. That should never happen, okay? Mm-hmm. Because if she wants, it was something kind of the boxy look, we were trying to go for something that would a similar feel, but that is something more of her size, okay? Because first of all, I could say, you know what? I think that this frame would look really good on you, which is a much more manageable of your size, you know, that match your face much better. And then we look at the brow line, and then it's also kind of squarish. It's kind of, it's large, definitely large enough. And then at the same time, you know, she doesn't look like she's overwhelmed by such a huge frame. You know, we gotta be able to have something that is completely different, because we are obviously not going to pull out another frame of the similar size as the first one. But the also feel of that large kind of squarish boxy frame, you know, that she's looking for. And at the same time, give her the color that she wasn't even thinking before. Basically, that's what we'll go for. Now, if a patient say, okay, I want a round frame, okay? And then because round and plus double bridge is in fashion, and then let's say if she pick up a frame like this, okay? And then so we will be able to say, you know what, I think that this look is kind of too droopy, although it looks very cool. It's a very cool style, but you know.
Can you come in a little bit?
Can you see? Do you see it?
Okay.
Yeah, it's better. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So it is extremely cool retro look, double bridge with right elements and everything like that. But it's making, first of all, the round it's a little bit too large, and then it's simply making her brow line droopier. Right. So then maybe we can suggest her something else, you know? Something that will make her eyes nicely centered, okay, that is more in proportion, okay? So basically, whatever they're asking for one thing, without deviating, give them, when they're asking for round, instead of giving them something rectangular, we could have something else that could actually satisfy that desire, but at the same time that truly fits them. Again, having the right selection and of the frame at your disposal is extremely important to be able to offer that kind of options, right? Yeah. So these are the things that we always talk about. Not only that the bridge side has to fit, the brow, he has to follow the brow line. That is the next extremely important fitting criteria that we all must put into
the shape of the brow. The shape of the brow line.
Exactly. Because when you can follow that brow line, you know, you have a much higher, how should I phrase this? You look a lot more flattering. Okay. Talisha. So the next frame I will be the one showing you. Like for example, let's say, earlier I show you a frame that is good for the high mile, you know, with a high prescription myself, like for example. This is one of my styles, okay? It fits, it's sitting my bridge nicely, but the thing is, I would never wear this frame myself. Why? Because it doesn't go with my brow line. You know, it's too straight here. It shows too much space here, versus the one that I showed you previously. You see that how it's just sort of like kind of opens up my eyes a lot more.
Well, this is more.
And then a lot.
The other one was more boring.
Exactly. And I think one of the things that whenever I go give a trunk show, and then when I try to explain to the consumer, one of the things I said, you know what, it almost looked like we had a facelift without going through going through the night, because it immediately opens up. You know, your eyes make you look more youthful, make you look more awake, rather than having something versus, if you see like where something like that, it just kind of sits low and it's just kind of cut through the middle of my eyelid, you know, like my eyesight. And then without even talking about how annoying it is for me to see the top of the rib.
Right.
Here. Right. Okay. So all those are the little nuances. Okay. Like for example, we were showing you earlier a round frame. Now this is, you know, the difference between this is one of my style, the Merrill, you know, the round frame, and versus I don't know which brand is this. I think it's one of the lows. Okay, do you see the difference? Do you see the difference of how this one, it's sort of kind of sits, everything kind of draw, kind of pull down a bit, you know, visually, okay? And then mind you, this one has, I'm sorry?
That's a style choice though, isn't it? People want that look.
They want the droopy look today.
They want the droopy look.
If that's what they want, then there's nothing for us to say. They want the droopy look.
Yeah, I didn't think that looked too bad on you though.
It's not. But I just want you to see, a lot of time it's at the tiny little nuances.
Right.
The differences.
I know I told a patient not too long ago, I said, that frame makes you look like a librarian. And she said, you know what I do, don't you? I said, no, she's a librarian.
That's funny. That's funny.
In the 1950s and 60s, they would typically have a secretary, as they were called at that time, who had a severe-looking pair of glasses, big, thick black frame, and then at some point, usually like a Christmas party, she would take off the frame and let her hair down, and they would say, "She's gorgeous." So there was that kind of a look that real pretty women wanted, a severe look, you know, to defeminize. And I think today some women still want that look. They want, I don't want people to notice me. I want to hide behind my glasses look. So
which is fine. That's why I have over 150 styles in my collection, and it's still growing.
That's why they need more. That's why they need more than one pair of glasses.
Exactly, because there are so many. Everybody's built differently, you know. It seems that everything that I mentioned so far is all about to kind of, you know, mystify all those existing. There are so many myths out there.
Right.
Okay, you just add a nose pad and then it's Asian fit. One of my favorite one is that, I don't, you know, if it's the Asian patients that come in, all we have to do is just give them a metal frame.
Right.
A metal frame, because, well, as long as I pull out those pad arms and then, you know, and then let them the nose pad could sit on their bridge, that will solve the problem. And then unfortunately, that is not it. That is not it at all. Like,
so how about on the Korean? Sometimes we have Koreans that have actually no bridge whatsoever. I mean, it is just flat.
So, I have plenty. I have product like that. I have product like that. So even within my own collection, I don't know about other collections. Their universal fit or alternative fit. Even within my collection, that from the top of my head, I can think of at least 5-6 different heights of the nose pad. Because I don't automatically assume that everybody needs as much nose pad as I do. You know.
So on those patients, do you just have to do nose pad where they have just a completely flat
okay, so the nose pad that I do, they are actually, when I meant nose pad, these are the acetate nose pads. Each one of these acetate nose pads, they have to be laminated, hand laminated, and then hand polished onto the front with the front material, and then hand polish, right? So therefore, because since this part was attached to the front later on, I get to tell them what's the height I want, as little or as much as I want, you know, in my technical specs. They just have to do it this way.
Can you show us a little more close up of the nose pads? So I think a lot of opticians just assume that, you know, an Asian fit frame is an Asian fit. They all have the same type of acetate pads. But from what I have experienced is there's many different types of forms and fits to the pad.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Like this is one of the one that I wear. You know, I've been wearing this pair of sunglasses, and then this is what I need, because the reason why I need it because it's so large is because I barely have a sliver of a bone that I need all that support in order for me to be able to wear a pair of large sunglasses, and then that it fit and it sits well, you know, without worrying about it sliding down even when I'm sweaty. In this takes some heat, for example, you know, or to smudge my makeup, for example. But it doesn't mean that everybody needs that. Okay, so we're going back to metal frame with the part arm. This is a pair of metal sunglasses. Okay. I'm not going to say what is the name, and then it's actually a very small bridge side, which this is something that we talked about earlier. That this is what I need. Maybe it's just only like 14. So it comes with a metal pad arm, very standard, and you know. Okay, so just by looking at it, I know it won't fit me. And then sure enough, you know, you see how it sits
on your cheeks.
Right, on my cheeks, and then this is a total nightmare. So most of the opticians believe that as long as they pull out the pad arm, which is I'm doing by hand, and as far as I can. Okay, so I kind of bring them both out. So yes, now it is finally touching my bridge, but it's still sitting on my cheek.
Right. Yeah.
So
let me ask you,
sitting on the bridge, it doesn't solve the problem.
Now, in the past for narrow bridges, we would say in the past for a narrow bridge, we say you would need a keyhole fit. Keyhole bridge to a true keyhole bridge, not a fake keyhole.
A fake keyhole, but
no, true one. You would need a true one.
That is we're talking about that's acetate. That's different.
Right.
We're talking about metal, large frames. Okay.
So what differs on a proper metal fit?
This is my own metal sunglasses, aviator. Okay.
Inside view. Okay. Nice.
You see that? Okay.
Right.
So there's just so many things that need to happen in order to make the right fit.
And how's that pad arm different on that metal pair of yours?
It's not. They are actually both almost the same height, and then so it's not just about the pad arm. So, for example, this one is very obvious. This is an A base. Very few Asians can pull off an A base sunglasses. Number one. Number two, I think not only that, I don't know, is it the location? I haven't really studied. I just went to I just found this pair of sunglasses in one of the old boxes that I don't even know who they belong to. So I will have to really study it technically in order to understand. All I know is that they don't fit me. They don't fit me, okay? Versus that, my own pair of aviator, or such as this one, like it's a large double bridge, metal frame. Okay, this is my own, and then it fits. I mean, I could smile, I can laugh, and then it stays put, and it just works. And versus, you know, other metal frame, like for example, like such as the one that Talisha was trying earlier. Let's say that I'm going to pull it out really high. So you see that it still sits low.
Right.
It's touching my bridge, all right, but
Yeah.
it's still sitting very low. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So
I could have used this 40 years ago. So now, having said that, I don't like when they ask me which frame looks better, because I want to make sure I say the right thing. So
you know what? It's so funny, Dr. Pearl. When I first started, you have no idea how many opticians they asked me. They go, "Where have you been my entire optical life?"
Yeah.
That's exactly what they said. You know, but the thing is, we can go back and talk about like why people never thought of it, or it's because it's very Eurocentric. But at the end of the day, it's because people didn't know better to care.
right.
Yeah. And I think
That's
as you start working with better quality frame companies, you start realizing that there's so many different fits that are out there. You know, if all you sell is $150 frames, well, those are all going to be made pretty similar because they're probably coming out of the same factories.
Exactly. And then I think it's because it's not just the factory, because at the end of the day, the factory they only produce what I tell them to produce. Okay. And then it is true. There are many designers out there that unless they have invested the time to truly understand the technical aspect of it. Okay. Otherwise, they would just leave it to the factory to come up all the technical specs for them.
Yeah.
Because there are many designers that they just draw pretty shapes and pretty, you know, or they play with colors and they play with shapes, right? So that's what it is. So unless you actually willing to spend time to look into this and then to want to do better than what's already out there. Otherwise, we're just been doing, you know, we'll just continue with the same old, you know?
Okay. Hey, I want to record just one last thing here. Probably, I'm going to ask you a question, just you can address all the opticians out there. I'm kind of in the same position as you. I think opticians are so sad. It's so sad. Because you know they get a job and they kind of realize it's a cushy job. They show up to work, they see a patient, fit them, dispense them, and then they go home and then they wipe the slate clean. So I think a lot of reason people love working in a restaurant is because they go to work, they go home, and they wipe the slate clean. But we need to think of when we come to work, it's a continuation of the day. And we're going to see that patient in 6 months or 12 months, and we want to establish that relationship. And you have to establish your presence, be there for them, and show them a reason to keep seeing you.
Right. I think that just like any other job, one must take pride in what we do, right? We are in this very unique industry, that we get to have a medical device that is also an accessory. And this is truly, eyewear is the only product out there that is both medical device and accessory. So, but first, it's a medical device, okay? Just like what we always say that, you know, to a lot of opticians, or we always share whenever I go to Vision Expo with all the practices, it is unthink of for us to fit ill-fitting braces to the teeth of our children, right? Can you go stick your, they say, oh, that is sort of fit, it's okay. No.
Yeah, your front left tooth will be a little 30 degrees off.
Right. So therefore, there's no reason that one should put up with ill-fitting glasses because it is also a medical device. So one must take pride in that and then understand the seriousness of it, and the consequence that could come with it when one is wearing a ill-fitting glasses. Okay. Not only that your vision is not being corrected, properly, and then it could induce headaches and all sort of other things. And then especially children or adults, and actually in every single age, right? Every single age group. And at the same time, we get to be the stylist. We get to be the one and then see what is something that will truly brightens up or fit their faces, and then something that fits them like a glove, and then actually bring out all their best of their features. And then that is not something to be taken lightly. We're in this very, very unique position that we can do both. We're doing something to correct them, their vision. At the same time, we can make a huge impact on their look as well. Yeah. So I think that, opticians, everybody, you should take pride in what you do, and then treat every single patient or every customer that, that is standing in front of you, and thinking that this is you, what you have is nothing short of a life-changing experience. Yeah. Right. It's up to you to be able to do that.
Well, those are wonderful words, and I agree. It is a life-changing experience when you get the proper fit of eyewear. It boosts your self-esteem. When you're out on a Friday night or going to work, and someone compliments you on your glasses, it is probably one of the greatest things. Right. So, well, anyways, Alexandra, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to really educate us on not only the basics of fit and myths, but also some of the complex issues that we encounter day to day when we're fitting strange facial features, which are not so strange because we are just a bread bowl around the world today. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share some of the things that I care deeply about. Yeah. So
thank you. And if you would like to learn more or contact Alexandra, you can visit her website. It's prologuevision.com, or I'm sure she'd be happy to field all your questions if you really want to become an expert on fits.
Yes, just let me know. I'm here to answer any of your questions.
Wonderful.
All right? All
Take
right.
care. Have a good day.
Thank you again. Bye-bye.
This brings us to the end of another episode of Eyetrepreneur, the podcast for Wizards of Eyes. Go ahead and click over to our website, eyetrepreneur.com, or head over to Facebook to join our special Facebook group, Eyetrepreneur. See you there.